the worst moments of our life.
Hey girl, hey, that's bad.
So speaking of like worst ever experiences.
That is the worst ever.
I don't feel so good.
And that was my worst audition ever.
How bad can it be?
And we feel that pain is best served funny.
No, what I was going to say that I think is so crazy, and like Celia and I were talking about this a little bit, and I've seen this like from some of the far right, like some of the crazy stuff. The go-to is to name call when people don't like what you're saying. They don't like, you know, that you're being vocal about, you know, Black Lives Matter, whatever it is. They just go to straight to, well, you're a pedophile.
Yeah.
Which I think is so, that's so specific.
Now, to play devil's advocate, they are doing that in response to a lot of people, to them feeling automatically lumped as racist because of their support for the right, which I think they are.
Okay.
But that's, you know what I mean? I would say that's the thing that I really also try to do is be able to remove myself from the argument as much as I will go in and be like, you're a fucking idiot. I do try and step back a little bit to go, okay, if I were on that side, what would be my response in the same way that I respond to those on the other, you know, what is the polarizing thing and what thing that we're each using against each other?
But why pedophile? You know what I mean? It's like saying somebody's a racist is different than
pedowood is the new term, and libtard, which I feel like I should get a shirt that says that, but I'd probably get shot. Yeah. I mean, I have a shirt that's the fake presidential seal, the one that the dude made with the golf clubs and the Russian and the, you know, this whole thing. But I won't even wear that because you have to really look at it in order to figure it out, and it's just so inflammatory. That I'm like, this is like a one I'll wear at home because I know what it says, but like out in a crowd, if I were out in a protest with that shirt on, I would probably get, you know, harassed.
Well,
sure.
Speaking of the whole like the Black Lives Matter protest and all that, when my uncle died, I went to Tampa. He was in Tampa, and it happened during that time. Right. And I hadn't watched the news. I didn't know what was going on, and I'm staying at the hotel, and then next thing you know, like the gas station next to me is on fire, and like everything's being, I'm going, what's happening right now? I had no idea what was happening in the world because I was just with my family every day and the funeral and the whole bit, so I had no clue. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then finally I saw the news and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm in. Like, what do we do? You know? Right. So I went in Florida, in Jacksonville. I was in Jacksonville, Orlando. It was crazy. And I finally, we get to see something in our lifetime that hopefully is going to change the future. Like we as like, we're never like this whole 2020, you couldn't write this. Like it is the craziest thing from COVID to
like, that's not believable. Right.
This is out of like a science fiction movie. This is the craziest year ever. And I feel like after first of all, I don't know if he's going to leave if he doesn't win. Like, I think he's going to get dragged out by the military if that happens.
Well, I mean, if you don't win an election and you refuse to leave, they will escort you out eventually. They have to.
Though, but my concern is, and from what the groups that I'm working with and sort of deep diving into a lot of this stuff, is that it won't matter that he loses the popular vote because the way our electoral system is set up, it's, you know, ripe for being corrupted and misused. So he can throw the election and still say he legitimately won, in which case he wouldn't have to leave and wouldn't be escorted out by the military because you can, you know, make things happen enough to where that wouldn't, you know, he wouldn't have to leave because he wouldn't be, you know, overstaying an election he lost.
Which is how he ended up in there in the fucking first place. So
yeah.
But I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot of, and I just think it's an interesting time because you can't extricate one trauma and problem from another. Yeah. All of them are sort of converging in a very necessary way right now. If it weren't for the pandemic, I don't know that we would be seeing some of the really extreme problematic things that are happening in this administration and taking advantage of that. Right. So it's bringing all of that to the forefront, like, oh my God, it's much more rapid, that decline. And then, jobs and unemployment funds and social security funding and, all of this that's going on because of the pandemic, the post office, because of our pandemic, that's affecting our election, that's affecting our, it's sort of this really interesting domino effect of everything happening simultaneously. And I look at it as, I mean, look, I am a realist and all this stuff, but I have my little hippy dippy moments. And I just think that right now we're in this really important place for some major change. And change only comes when things are super uncomfortable and people have had enough. Mm-hmm. And so, it's going to happen because it gets so bad that there is no other choice unless, it is acting to kind of dismantle things right now. So, I think in a way I have hope for it, but I also know that, change is not won easily. So, I'm kind of preparing for the long haul of things, outside of the pandemic, which I think is going to last. I'm just a barrel of sunshine, but I do think the pandemic is going to last a lot longer.
Yeah.
I do think that the election is going to be, the months leading up to it and after it are going to be more horrific, and some things are going to happen in this country that I don't think we've ever seen on our land.
I'm scared.
Not as white people. The amount of voter suppression and all of that kind of stuff. We as a country as a whole have never experienced it, but I think we're seeing just the oppression really go up in a lot of ways. And people call me alarmist and all of this stuff, and I'm like, because I've been saying it since he got elected. But now we're starting to see, the terms fascism and things like that.
You also told me you thought there'd be a pandemic soon.
Yeah, I did.
What'd you say?
She told me there was going to be, we were sitting outside once, we were talking, she had seen this documentary on Netflix or HBO, I can't remember which, and about pandemics and how one was probably inevitable. And she was like, I really think in the next year or so, we're going to end up in a pandemic. And fucking a year later, we were in a pandemic. Yeah. So you can call it
crazy. And the fact that the pandemic we're still in it, full force. It's not even.
And that's the thing is, if you really look at science and go stuff we're not going to be out of this for a very long time. Yeah. And even
the 1918 pandemic.
People aren't, we don't know how effective it will be. 2, it's skipping years of trials, so that makes me nervous. Right. But 3, the anti-vax and anti-science sentiment, particularly in this country, is so strong right now that the amount of people necessary in order to achieve herd immunity through a vaccine will never be able to be accomplished without mandating it. And once you mandate it, then people are going to freak out and rebel even more.
Right.
So even people are like, oh, there's going to be a vaccine. It's that's not going to save you. It's not.
It's not.
Right.
Well, I will say this.
And would you take it?
Would I take it? You know what? I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I'd want the Russian one that's out right now. No. I don't trust that a little bit.
The one in Oregon looks more promising to me. I was reading about that this morning. Right. Because that's not putting the disease into you. That's the one that was created. And, it's
I don't know. Right. I don't know. And that's the thing is, as much as I want to say, yes, I would take the vaccine, there is a part of me that goes, most vaccines are in clinical trials for at least 4 years. The soonest we've ever come is 4 years.
Oh, yeah, right.
And so, I don't have much hope that we're going to find it in the next 6 months. That's going to be one that really is truly viable. Science is not a thing that you rush. It's a thing that requires scientific method and asking questions and finding out a lot of no answers, which is making people distrust science right now because we're watching it unfold in real time. Science in real time is messy and not clear and seems contradictory because you're having to ask questions and be okay with answers that don't line up with what you hoped. That's science.
This would have been a great episode for Fuller House.
I mean, I really feel like our fan base would,
The pandemic.
I think you guys would have been this would have been I can see it.
Solved in half a fucking hour, so I don't think. We would have hugged without masks at the end and had no social distancing. So.
Well, I was talking to teachers in Florida because they have to go back to school, right? They have to go into school, and they're freaking out. And I was like, and the one thing I was like, I wonder what. I know kids are off limits when it comes to politicians or whatever. And I was like, is Barron going back to school? Are they sending him? Has anyone asked that? Like, I'm like going,
he's homeschooling. He's distance learning. His school, his nice, very wealthy private school is distance learning, as all of them are. Yep. All the nice private schools that you pay $48,000 and all that shit, they're all distance learning. But
and all those parents are hiring private tutors to come into their house. I mean, this is the problem with this is the problem with great privilege, is that people will say one thing, but then do something completely different. It's the hypocrisy of, no, everyone needs to go back to school. It doesn't matter. There's a pandemic going on. We all have to go back to school.
Classist, bourgeoisie, electoral bullshit.
Oh, wow. Look, Jodie Sweetin, politician. What are you running for? Do you want to get into politics?
Nothing. No, I do not. I actually really despise our political system as it is currently. So
go ahead, girl.
Okay.
Look at you.
I don't want to have to participate in the bullshit, though. I want to just restructure the entire system. Yeah. So we'll get there.
I mean, I think but what you were saying about, I think a lot of you have to go through a lot of discomfort in order for things to change. I think that's really accurate. And for myself anyway, I've realized that I haven't been nearly as involved as I should be in our political process. If you want to change something in a democracy, if it's by the people and for the people have to do the work. You can't sit by and say, well, I don't like these two candidates for whatever, but you didn't make any changes 4 or 5 years earlier. You didn't do anything to usher in someone else.
That this country is not set up for a healthy, thriving, participatory democracy. We do not make voting a priority. We do not make educating our eligible voters. We don't make educating them a priority. We don't make voting day a priority. We franchise the majority of people who are affected by most of the laws and bills and all of the things that come down, because it affects mostly, the working class and lower income people who can't take a day off to go and vote, to go and stand in line for 4 hours.
Totally.
And we have done that. I mean, let's be real. If we can do all of these other things online, we could figure out how to vote online. But there's a very convenient reason that we like to keep a majority of our electorate out of politics, because it wouldn't be convenient for those in power.
Absolutely.
If they voted purely, one vote, one party, not one vote, one party, but one vote, one voice. You know what I mean? Like that each vote counted. Often our electoral system really doesn't work in favor of that. So, our country is having a reckoning with itself. That's what I think. We're having to face some really difficult truths about ourselves, but I don't think that we're done facing them yet. I think we're just in the beginning stage of them really coming to the surface. And I see this taking years.
For sure.
Have you lobbied at all, or have you gone to DC and done anything?
No, but I am right at the beginning of this. I started working with RAINN, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest Network, and they had approached me about stuff just because I had been vocal about some of my own experiences during the Kavanaugh hearings. And I've become more politically active, super pro-feminist, all of that kind of stuff. So they thought I would be a good voice for it, and I had talked to them, and we have said as soon as legislation and stuff like that comes up in DC, that I definitely would like to go lobby and go.
Because I went down during the Kavanaugh hearing. I went to DC with Alyssa, and holy shit, I've learned so much with her because she's such an activist. Because I've never been involved. I was I'm not gonna lie, I was forced in the sense of it was just forced upon me. But I've learned so much. There's so much craziness in DC. I've never seen anything like it. It is everything that happens there. And I've met with congressmen. I went and lobbied with the Creative Coalition, and I just was like, it was so fascinating. And I think you'd be great for that kind of stuff. You should definitely, if you get a chance.
I would, and I definitely want to get involved in it. I mean, Alyssa, I think is just, I'm so proud of what she's doing, and she's, I know a lot of people.
I'm gonna hook you up with her too.
So
she's amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna hook you up with her too, and I want you to go on her podcast.
I would love that. I would really love that, because this is what I'm 100% passionate about right now, and I'm. I try to keep myself really well educated on it. I've I'm committed to it. This is what I love. I've always been kind of a nerd like this. And so I'm like, this is, you know, and I'm a nerd and I'm also a rebel. So I'm like that, you know, a time right now to call our attention to really having to fight the injustice of the system. I mean, it's what I love to do. So
It's awesome.
It's really important. And I'm trying to be an example. Also, you know, I have 2 girls.
Your kids.
12 and 10, you know, and they've seen me be out there at protests, and they've seen me, you know, take this seriously. And that's the biggest example that I can be to them.
Yeah.
Right. It was Celia, with you, because of what's going on in the country, have a lot of your patients, I mean, I'm sure fear is a big thing right now, you know, not knowing where the country is going to go, how it's being run, unemployment, the disease, I mean, the virus, sorry, the fact that, you know, I can't imagine with you what you're dealing with as a therapist and how you can, like, you know, that's a lot. Yeah. How come you're not in therapy?
I have Black clients, and I've got clients who are married to Black, you know, men who have Black babies, and so like it's a wide array of stuff. Also, you know, in-home abuse is up, so that's happened.
Right.
Yeah.
It's up over 40% right now, domestic violence.
It's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of different. I've made more phone calls out to like DCFS and stuff during this than I ever have before. I've also done more couples counseling than I ever have before, because people are obviously together all the time, so marriages and relationships are hard. You know, in general, and it sucks because I mean, I don't go out like Jodie does. I've been out a couple times, and I've really enjoyed it, but it's so hard because I'm so tired by the end, you know, to try and go out.
Right. No.
Yeah.
Times that she's like, stay home. Like,
I've told you, yeah. I mean, because I go out and I march for like, you know, 3 to 10, 12 miles a day.
It's, I mean, I think we all, you know, everybody has to do what they can do. Obviously.
I keep saying, do what you can, raise awareness, create education, educate yourself.
Right. Right.
You know,
I've been on so many Zooms.
Yeah.
So
I know.
many Zooms.
Getting people talking really is a big thing. And I will also say, to put like hope into it, I know we were like super depressing, but 2 things I will say that I think are like hopeful as far as change goes. Not only is our country changing, but I have noticed a lot of self-evaluation within my clients and recognizing things that they did not recognize before, especially when it came to inner biases and Black Lives Matter and anti-Semitism, where they haven't had to really look at that stuff before. And now all of a sudden they're looking at it more.
Yes, but I'm going to make the argument that those people that are willing to self-examine and willing to look
right.
at it, are often the ones that are already in support of the movement. They're just willing to dig a little deeper.
It's
so
true.
It's not.
Although I've had ones that started with me that did not, and honestly, they were Jews, which was always very frustrating to me, that did not understand Black Lives Matter and thought that, like, they constantly make the comparison between, like, what, you know, this ethnicity has gone through this, and as a Jew, I've gone through this, and they just couldn't wrap their head around why it was not the same. And I've been able to get at least a few people to be like, I did not see it the way I'm supposed to see it. Now I see it that way. But I don't think that would have happened necessarily if they were like at work and able to like push it aside and, you know, doing your regular routine. I think because your routine is broken, all of a sudden there's that part of you that's like, like you have to really sit with yourself and examine yourself.
I have found one of my more entertaining things to do though during the pandemic is talk to my mom about politics and then just tell her to tell my dad that his daughter is like the president of Antifa. Or like be like,
oh no.
My dad, you know, I love my dad. He's great. But he's an 86-year-old man that was born in post-depression 100%. Oklahoma and you know, worked on farms and moved out on his own when he was 13 and lived in a dirt floor tent with no electricity. Like, he has a very different, you know, set of references. And even, you know, my mom is very much on the same page as me, but you know, I'm even further, like I said, I'm very far left. And so it's just, that's my little form of entertainment is like, hey dad, guess what? Guess what I did this
well,
week?
people also want to pay attention. They want to hear what they want to hear.
Right. But you know what I is being able to talk about it and talking about it with my parents and my mom and I having, you know, he'll sit there for it, and his eyes have been opened a little bit. He has, you know, not fully turned off Fox News, but he is seeing a little bit more of the big picture. But then he kind of goes, you know, but having these difficult conversations with people you love and go, I love you, but I'm going to tear some holes into your theory. Right, and here we go.
Well, not only that, but people don't understand that it's not a new thing. No. This has been going on forever. And so I was privileged enough to, growing up, to move around a lot. So we lived in Florida, Texas, North Carolina, Alabama. You know, I moved around a lot. And I remember moving from Greensboro, North Carolina, where my neighborhood and the middle class and upper middle class were majority Black, right? And then moving down to St. Petersburg, Florida, where they had gotten rid of segregation, but segregation still existed because of economic structure. So even though they had desegregated, people couldn't afford to move into those white neighborhoods. So I remember moving into the neighborhood that we lived in. I'm like, where are the Black people? Like, because I was so used to seeing Black people on an everyday basis. And I didn't understand. And then going to school, all of a sudden, it was more mixed, and were busing in kids. And I was like, where does everyone live? And like, it was different, you know. So I learned
Connecticut, and so we always had the Black kids were bused into Westport, Connecticut. Black people did not live there then.
So I was in shock. I was like, I don't understand. I'm used to having like neighbors that are Black and all that. It was just weird for me, but it's been going on forever, and he's trying to do it again and make it more so, you know.
I know. It's all relatively terrifying for 1,000.
How dare you leave during my story, Jodie?
You know what? I know. I actually felt really bad, but I had
it was a really good story too.
For a podcast that I did. But then she left because I didn't because somebody was fucking.
Wow.
Wow. I swear to God, if anything happens to my mailbox in the next week, Alaa, I'm gonna be so good.
If what?
If anything happens to my mailbox in the next week, I am gonna be so pissed.
Oh yeah. No, honey, I'm
oh my God.
Past the mailbox. Now I'm doing garage doors.
Okay, I want to switch a little bit over to some of this other stuff that's been going on during this like weird time that we're living in. I want to know, what is one thing that you've done maybe around your house, or like a project that you've taken on during this time? It can go well or not go well. I don't care.
I grew a tomato plant. Oh
yeah, you did.
You grew a tomato plant.
I have 3.
They're growing, but I watered it. But you know,
look at you.
I did. You guys, I kill everything. I mean, other than my children, but they're fairly self
questionable. Still at risk.
No, but the tomato plant, I've gotten these little baby cherry tomatoes, and they're awesome. And I talk to it, and I've become like a plant lady, and now I want more plants.
Amazing.
That's what I started a garden too, and I've never grown anything in my life. I have zucchini, I have tomatoes, I have peppers, I have mint, I have basil, parsley, cucumbers.
Fancy.
Ooh. I need to pick up, a friend of mine is giving me one of those potato bags.
We have Dustin has one of those. We have potatoes. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
What's a potato bag?
It's where you grow potatoes, and the potato flowers.
When you can't dig them in, because you got to dig deep for potatoes.
So it goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And the flowers.
Oh, that's cool.
Just gorgeous. I had a picture of those the other day. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Well,
I bought the seeds, and then I had Dustin do everything because I have such a black thumb. But I don't know. Can Dustin be my project that I took on during COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's definitely a good project, especially his drinking habits.
We had a bunch of like crap on the side of our house from, building our house and moving and blah, blah, blah. Right. And we have this whole, it's like, just like a little alley basically. Right. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful.
Those are my tomatoes.
That looks great. That planter box really worked out.
Planter box looks so nice. Where did you get that?
I got it online. I'll send you the link. It was only $120 and you can configure it any way you want.
Oh, I want that.
It's easy to assemble. It's so easy. You do it. There's no nails or anything. It all slides in together.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, look at you.
Celery coming up. My rosemary. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing it all, kids. I'm doing it all.
He has a dream of selling cocktails and cupcakes on the front porch.
I'm gonna.
I'll buy them.
Yeah, no, I've been baking a lot. I've been making bundt cakes, and I've been baking a lot. And macaroons.
Yeah, I always bake a lot. Oh, Christine, I brought you a challah. Did you guys eat it? How was it? It wasn't my best challah, I gotta be honest.
It was really good. I didn't make French toast with it, but I did toast it and butter it.
Yeah,
it's
so good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Delish.
I love a challah.
I made 3 loaves of sourdough, and then I was like, all right, cool, I did it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I
picked up some yeast at the grocery store so that we can make some bread. He and B and Lulu actually made an amazing lemon chiffon pie last week.
It was lemon meringue.
Oh, yum.
Lemon chiffon.
All right, well, she got really.
What's the difference?
No, we didn't make meringue. We were going to, and that's not what
right, because that's the fluffy white stuff on
yes,
top.
and meringue is a pain in the ass to make. Right. So the three of them made a lemon chiffon pie. It was with the lemons from our tree, and it was very good.
Oh.
So if anyone
That
needs
is
lemons,
so delish.
Lemons are too.
You had
I also go ahead.
No,
Go,
you go.
Christine. No, I said I also want to get a barbecue for the front yard and sell burgers and compete with Troy's. That's right next door.
Nice.
No one
Troy's
is going to
Burgers.
buy a burger from your front yard.
Yeah, that's
How much you want to bet?
That, and you know what? Here's the thing: I think the LA County Department of Health and Safety is going to frown upon that a little bit.
No one's coming around during COVID. No one's coming around during COVID.
Right, but a burger stand in your front yard is going to be a little.
Baked goods, yes. Cocktails is iffy, but
No, I'm going to do a blow up mustard and ketchup
I'm going
thing.
to come eat one and say I got food poisoning. So, better have that.
Wait, also, like, how much foot traffic is actually going by that people are like, oh, look, burgers. That sounds like a great idea.
When they smell my burgers.
You have on the shirt.
I do. I have on the shirt you got me. All of a sudden, I'm hot. Having a hot.
Oh, I like that.
It's got my favorite murder shirt on.
I just got an alert I just got a news alert that Death Valley is 130 degrees right now.
What?
Yes, I saw that.
Disgusting.
130.
Isn't that like
It's
the hottest
it's ever been on Earth
planet
ever?
Yes. Yeah. And then I just got another news alert while we were talking that there was a string of earthquakes in Baja that's being felt through San Diego right now.
Oh, great.
They've been talking about that there's actually a fault line that has been very active right now that hasn't been in a very long time, and it's the one that has been worried about would cause a huge.
Well, it's 2020, so it's
that's what I'm saying.
Boop, and we're all just gonna go right. Yeah.
Did you guys feel that one?
Wait, what?
Did you feel the one we had? What was it? 3 weeks ago? You felt it, right? Yeah, we felt it big time.
Yeah.
I also was in Florida during the whole the Sahara sandstorm thing. I was like, what's happening right now?
You know, those actually happen every year. They're actually a really
just not like that big.
Well, they're a really vital part of spreading all of the microbes and stuff around the world. Like a lot of the Atlantic Ocean sediment that's at the bottom actually comes from dust particles that have settled in the Sahara Desert. And there's specific things that they put into the water that certain fish eat and all that kind of stuff. But when they're really bad like that, they're actually visible. See, again, fountain of useless knowledge.
Nerd.
You are like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Her and my daughter Lulu can do this all day. Yeah. All
that
day.
is so funny. Okay, the other thing I want to know is what's like one of the weirdest or worst moments, like, I guess never thought you'd say this during a pandemic, that's happened with your kids?
I know mine. Do you know yours? You know mine. I've had 2 that were fucking awful. I screamed at my kids.
They were fucking? Wait, what?
No, they were awful. Like, I just was such a shitty mom. I screamed at my daughter for using too much toilet paper. Like, I caught her doing it and made her stop.
Oh, God.
I pulled out pieces and, like, yelled in her face, which was bad. But then my anxiety was so bad. It was, like, last week that my kids were they were just asking me, like, too many questions. It was the end of a week. I'd had, I think, 20 clients. and I had so much anxiety because I just like was taking on everything else. And they just asked me like the dumbest thing. I don't even know what it was. And I snapped. I started screaming at them. And then as I'm screaming, I started crying. And then I started hysterically laughing while I kept yelling at them, crying and laughing. And then I all of a sudden was like, oh my God. And my stomach like revolted. And I ran into the bathroom and had explosive diarrhea and threw up at the exact same time. And my kids were like, are you gonna die? Like, what just happened to you?
She just like, just literally imploded in a matter of 5
You having an exorcism?
Yeah. It was the crazy, like, my just went off the charts, and I felt so bad, and they were just standing there like, oh my God, Mom. Like,
I mean, I'd be a little terrified if you did that. If you just started screaming, laughing, crying, and then shit and puke, I'd be like, oh my God. It's like, so that's scary. So
I
yeah, that's
know.
really scary.
And thank God I was upstairs because my toilet is next to my shower. So I was able to sit on a toilet and throw up.
Oh my God.
That sounds
what are
like,
we talking about?
that's like my freshman year in college, like every Saturday night.
Right?
I hate you. I love you. This is crazy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
It was totally that. Yeah, it was so bad. And I just had to like sit and have a conversation with them about anxiety and how I hadn't like done anything to really help. And then I was and Harper's like, she wanted me to take a yoga class like right then. She's like, "Is there a yoga class?"
You're like, "Bitch, it's 11:30
p.m."
Yeah, you're like, I don't need a yoga class. I need a glass of that raspberry wine.
No, as soon as they went to sleep, I went out and smoked a fucking cigarette. I was like, I have to calm my health down. Like, and I don't really smoke. Like, I do every so often, but it was needed. It was a needed thing. Yeah. And then I felt kind of better. It was yours. You threw a phone across the room.
I did.
And broke it.
No, I didn't break it.
Oh, okay.
I flipped it and it slid. It was not my phone. It was Zoe's phone. And she threw it at me. I'm like, first of all, you're standing next to me. I didn't throw it at you. I threw it past you on the floor like a frisbee and then regretted it. The second it left my hand, I went, and
you did.
Because you're like, that's going to cost me money.
No, not with that. We did have the incident where you don't have to say what it was, but we did have the incident where you
the language has been
bad.
I got so mad at a particular word that she used that was so vile and disgusting. I don't even like repeating it, which says something.
Yes.
Right.
And yeah, it was, and Celia, my friend Lynn, and the kids were witness to it, and I barked at her in a way that very few people have seen.
I thought
a demonic voice came out.
It was justified.
It was
yeah.
Totally justified. Yeah. It's the voice you use when you're getting in a fight, when you're like, I have to establish dominance. Yeah.
The hair is raised.
Yeah. Well, it was awesome because she went from like really high pitched yelling to then when she got close enough to her, she like dropped down to like the devil voice.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It was deep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's
that.
Again, justified.
I mean, I've lost like 28 pounds due to my anxiety and depression over the pandemic. So.
Oh my God.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I need that. I'm starting a trainer next week.
No, you don't. It landed me in the hospital with severe dehydration.
Oh God.
It's really been awful. I am not a stress eater. I'm a stress starver. And let me tell you, not eating for days at a time.
Oh, I'm the worst.
Water down, like just puking all the time is not great. So that's been
not great.
The majority of my pandemic.
That sucks. But I do want to lose the 27 pounds.
Yeah.
That's my goal, is to lose 30 pounds. I'm getting a trainer next week. I start a trainer.
There's hope. You can always just turn to drugs.
That's no fun alone, though.
I'm not a big.
Pandemic.
I've never done it.
I'm not a big drug person. I gotta lose the weight. I've just been baking because of the baking.
Right.
You're a stress baker. Yeah, but you're a stress baker.
True.
So he's been making.
They're looking for that. Rush, that fix of something, to make them feel better, and mine is like, everything's terrible, nothing's gonna make it okay. Just like
that's where I go too. Yeah. I always have been like that. I don't know why. I wonder
what
makes people scientifically go one way or the other.
I'm not a stress eater either. If I am having like anxiety or going down a shame spiral, I cannot. My stomach just like knots up and I cannot eat.
No, gross.
No.
No.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way.
Like really anxious, butterflies in my stomach, acid coming up into my throat feeling, apparently. That's my stomach is like, food is dumb. Let's just feel like this, where I have to throw up and poop at the same time. Why?
You're not feeling like that right now, are you? Because get off my
Yeah, I've
Do you
definitely.
Go ahead.
I've definitely gone full ham on my kids a couple of times, as you can imagine. There's been, I mean, now they're fighting. They're now old enough to actually start fighting. And the younger one is hitting the older one, and then she's crying, but I'm pretty sure she instigated it. But there have been some funny moments, you know, where we've done this thing where we're like, why is he crying? And George is like, I don't know. And I'm like, really? So you didn't do anything? You didn't do anything to start this? No, Mommy, no. And Brandon was like, okay, all right, great. Well, just so you know, there's a camera right there. So I'm just going to quick play it back and we can just make sure. And she was like, okay, I hit him in the back. You know, so we're already there with the like, and I was like, see, that is wrong. Brandon's like, excuse me. He's like, thank you for being honest with me. Now go stand in the corner.
Oh, that's, yeah, but no, mine don't realize I can hear the whole argument, but I'm sitting on the couch just listening to it all.
Right.
And then I hear the eventual smack and someone, and I'm like, and then they come and try to tell me some whole different bullshit story. And I'm like,
yeah,
dude, I was sitting, you guys don't realize how loud you are. I heard the whole thing.
Yeah. It's, I think it only gets harder as they get older in many ways for sure. But it's, it's definitely been trying.
It's changed the dynamic.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Oh, really? That's great.
For Mello, her and Zoe are like best buddies. You know, B loves having the dog around. Like, it's just kind of mellowed out the house a little bit, but we'll see.
And it gets you out. You got to get out. You got to walk. You got to, you know.
Are they adjusting to your boyfriend living there?
They are actually in a really, really great way. We've found a really nice rhythm. They all get along. He's kind.
Pretty
and
awesome.
sweet.
It's hard not to.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Is he seeing clients like virtually?
Well, he's still working. Yeah, he's still working long distance. So he's still working on the East Coast and doing that out here until he
that's good.
Here, but that's kind of how everything is right now. You know, as Brandon knows, it's the same. You know.
I mean, Brandon was actually saying, like, for him anyway, he's like, in some ways, I mean, it took a minute to get used to telehealth and doing things on Zoom. He's like, in some ways, it's kind of great because it's not tying me to an office and to an office space that I have to rent and I have to find, you know, resources for and all that jazz. So it's kind of opening.
More over the phone also, I will tell you that.
You think so? Interesting. Yeah.
Like, I mean, people that I saw for years in my apartment, you know, because I have my office in my apartment, didn't tell me half of what they'll tell me now on the phone because they'll choose. I always give people the options. You can FaceTime or you can be just on the phone. More often than not, they want to be just on the phone. I suspect because they're doing other things. But like all of a sudden, I think because someone's looking at them, they're able to like tell me more and they'll cry. Like one client who's never cried before cried last week. I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know you could cry. Like
it's like confessional.
But it's because nobody's, you know, not, if you have a hard time being comfortable with someone watching you, I think that takes that off. I do think that's part of it. I also know that they like check emails as they talk to me on the phone, and I'm like,
see, I can't do that. That's why I'd be so distracted. That's why I hate talking on the phone.
I have to lock myself in my room.
I prefer talking on the phone. I can't stand texting or emailing.
Yeah, never calling you back. Yeah. Ever. Like not you, anyone. If someone
I'm just, it drives me crazy. I can, and I've said this many times on the podcast, the amount of time it takes to text back and forth, we could finish the conversation within 5 minutes.
My anxiety is going to take 30 minutes prior to that conversation to even have to figure out how to call and have the conversation because it's going to be awkward. What if there's dead space? What if we run out of things to talk about? What if you don't like me? What if you say something? What if I get my feelings hurt? What if I'm dumb? What if I forget? Like all of that happens leading up to a phone call, whereas a text is like, what time are you coming over? This time. Great. There was nothing in that because if I can't physically respond at the time, I don't have to. There's no texting silence.
If we ever call each other, we know it's because it's just way too long a fucking story to write it down or
right.
Like I don't want proof that we ever said it. Yeah, so I'm not gonna.
Oh boy.
Like I will call you to say this to you so that you can't. If someday we're not friends, you can't just fucking screenshot it and post it. That's my.
I love doing that to people.
I know.
No one's ever done it to me, so I would love to just do that.
Why not?
I know it's awesome.
It's so fun.
You guys, thank you so much for coming on the pod again. I promise this will save this time.
I mean, listen.
Almost.
Yeah.
Listen. I mean, listen. It's always good to have the sparkly young ladies, Jodie and Celia, on our podcast. They're so sweet. And I'm glad that you can. Jodie, the activist and actor. Celia, the therapist, mother, new boyfriend, wine distributor, and beer drinker.
Right. It's going to be the next prohibition. It's going to be that shit.
Before we go, are you getting tested for COVID regularly since you're protesting and stuff? Do you do that, Jodie?
I have not, because I haven't shown any symptoms. And right now for a long time, it was so hard to get tests if you didn't have symptoms.
Right. I do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I haven't been. And I probably should, but I also know, like, for a while there, it was just really hard to get them.
It's very hard to get a test. We were gonna go on a little like camping trip with other friends, and I said to the other family, like, I know we're not like cohabitating, but we will be near each other, and our kids will be near each other.
Right.
Do you want us to get tested? And she was like, yeah, maybe we should think about it. I was like, great, no problem.
Right.
So I went to go try to find a test. No test to be found. Took forever.
I got a link for you.
To find something.
I got a link for you, and you'll get the results within 24 hours.
Oh, really?
Where's the link? Where you have a link to show to where to place?
What do you have? VIP COVID testing?
I got a link for everything. No, and it's free, and it's 24 hours, and it's easy, and I do it. I've gotten tested 6 times. The key is to say that you might have come in contact with someone who might have COVID, which is not a lie, because you might have.
You might have. That's exactly
right. So I just do it because I am around people who are older a lot. I see them like once a week and stuff. So I just I'm not worried about me if I get ill again. I'm just more worried if I just don't want the guilt of giving it to someone else, like I did for Christine and my roommate.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
But you are thanking me now because you feel a little more safe, right?
Yeah. You did give me some antibodies.
Station 0.
I gave her the antibodies, but her husband didn't get shit, which is strange. The whole thing is so strange.
That antibody test is not so fantastic. So
no. Yeah.
Really
I've taken the antibody test 3 times. I take it every month.
Jesus.
You are out of control.
You're fucking COVID.
I'm obsessed with it.
Appreciate it. Thank God,
Yeah. I need to know. Well, I'm donating the plasma.
Yeah.
I know. We all appreciate it.
I'm an AB positive, so it's rare.
Wow.
They need it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm a hero.
Send us the link. Send us the links. We need the links.
I'll send you the links.
For the COVID, I need the link for the garden box. I need there was another link.
Oh, I gotta get you the link for the voting, the polls, to work with the polls.
The polls.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on, and tell the fans where they can find you and where they can find your podcast.
She doesn't even know. She doesn't know.
With my tags.
Calm down. See, my anxiety is speaking up right now because you're accusing me of not knowing.
Oh, great. So now you're not gonna have lunch because of me.
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Never Thought I'd Say This for the podcast. On Facebook, I am at official Jodie Sweetin, right? I think something like that. I don't go on my official Facebook much, but my Instagram is at Jodie Sweetin. Twitter is at Jodie Sweetin. If you want to find and harass and further troll me, please don't.
Or just be educated.
Right. Yeah.
Email us as well at what is it?
At neverthoughted at protonmail.com.
Oh, so weird. The whole Proton Mail. Give me a break. You can just go AOL at least.
It's actually a very super safe email.
Secure,
yeah, super secure email.
Yeah. Who's trying to break into your podcast email?
Well,
Come on, the Russians.
We've hacked a few times already, and Proton caught it. So
yeah.
Wait, and Celia, don't you work for like a health? You sell a health. You like to do gummies or something, don't you? Like a wellness.
I have a CBD company called Mellow Out
Right.
Mama. You can follow that at @mellowoutmama, or they can follow me if they want to, although I don't really know why, at the Celia Behar. That's
Why wouldn't they?
You sell yourself so well.
I mean, what am I like here? How I feel about it.
I got to get that CBD for our dog.
Yes, I'll get you some CBD for your dog.
I will text you about that.
Make for moms. More than not, we have little candies that are CBD, like chewing candy. Oh my God, they're so good. There's like hard candy. You can also cook with it. We have balms and lotions and
not like pipe bombs,
right?
Not
Not
like bath bombs.
Thank you for clarifying.
I thought you said bomb.
No.
I thought you said bomb.
Yeah,
Balm.
Balms.
Got it.
Right. Soon we'll have.
Oh wait.
We'll have soaking salts too. All CBD.
That just reminds me of a very funny, very quick story. So when everything was, sort of starting after George Floyd was murdered, I was trying to speak to Georgia about it and tell her what this movement was about, because she kept hearing it and, in very small terms, right? We went to a family protest just so that she could be around it. So she was saying for like the first day, she kept being like, no, I understand, mommy. She was like, Black minds matter. And I was like, yes, yes, they do. And also lives, lives. Because she just hears it. She's like, oh, lives. So now it's like very overly pronounced.
Did she say limes?
She was
Black
limes. And so now she's like, lives. Every time. She's 4, y'all. She's doing her best. And she likes to tell people, especially Black people, Black lives matter.
Oh, no.
That's
yes.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. But she likes to go, Black lives.
Well,
what am I doing?
Right?
No, just feel like she's a little different. It's okay.
Well,
Anyway.
Well, she probably has no idea what racism is, and she probably does. She doesn't like.
Of course
so,
not. And the whole point is that when they're this young, is that you talk about color. You don't pretend like everybody's the same. You want to talk about the fact that there are white people and brown people and Black people, and that way it's we don't live in a colorblind world. So
that's the one thing that drives me crazy is when people are like, well, I don't see color. I'm like, yeah, you do. I see color. And if you don't see color, then you're crazy. I go, you have to see color.
You're trying to say, but you're actually.
I go, you might not care about the color, whatever the color is, but you got to see the color.
Yeah, that's a different argument. Yeah, exactly. That's a different argument. All right. On that note.
We did it. Listen, this was the most political. This was the most political we've ever gotten on the show, and the fact that we got Fuller House or Jodie Sweetin to talk politics is insane. I wanted to talk about
I do now. It's to the point where I'm like, I need to stop talking. No, I actually don't.
No, it's great. No, I want you to continue to talk. Your voice is important because.
Yeah. And
listen, I wish
Alyssa. That's the other thing.
I'm gonna hook you up. I will. I'm doing that first thing, and then well, I won't get into it because you can't talk about it, but right. So great.
Okay.
And then good.
And great, guys. Thank you for listening. We are Worst Ever Podcast. You can find us at Worst Ever Podcast and Worst Ever PC. I am Christine Lakin. You can find me at Yo Lakin.
I am Alec. Well, I'm Alaa Khaled, but you can find me at Alec Leg. Don't ask, guys. And then you can also buy some merchandise like this, which is actually a gator mask at worsteverpodcast.com, and you can email us at worsteverpodcast@gmail, normal email address, gmail.com.
Ours is probably not very secure, so please don't.
We are not secure. We're not scared. We are not scared.
Nobody
says Mr. 6-time COVID test man. Okay.
Exactly. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll check you next time.